All right, and we're back and bringing you probably the most exciting game of the week. 77 total points scored in a game that I did not think would be this high scoring at all. I mean, I thought the Browns offense would be putting up a lot of points, but the Colts, I was not expecting this from. And that's the game I'm talking about. The Browns went into Indianapolis, beat the Colts 39-38 with the help of the refs because if you saw that there was an illegal contact on it, that's besides the point. We're here to talk about fantasy. Anyways, hopefully you didn't start Deshaun Watson in this one because although he was cleared to go, all of that, yada yada, goes to plays 12 snaps before he comes out after throwing one completed pass on 5 attempts for 5 yards and 1 interception. He finished with negative 0.8 fantasy points. PJ Walker came in and took over for him and did not do too much better. He was 15 for 32, 178 yards, 1 interception, 1 lost fumble, 3 rushing attempts for 3 yards. Gave you 6.4 fantasy points, but no one was starting him anyways. Jerome Ford was unfortunately injured in this one. He had a nice 69-yard touchdown run, which really kind of made his day. The Colts defense was somehow in the backfield a lot for a lot of runs for him and Kareem Hunt, which he ended up, Jerome Ford, 11 attempts for 74 yards, caught 2 passes on 4 targets for 20 yards, gave you 17.4 points in PPR. And he ended up losing a lot of yards on a toss that, was arguably a bad toss. He didn't catch it regardless. It goes behind him. He picks it up, loses like 5 or 6 yards.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt, funnily enough, Kareem Hunt didn't have the second most snaps in the running back room after Jerome Ford went out, and I think it was sometime in the third quarter. Pierre Strong had 4 more snaps than Kareem Hunt. I think this just shows that we did just get info that it is a low-grade high ankle sprain for Jerome Ford, so he will be expected to miss a week or two. Given that, I think for the next 2 weeks, you'll see Kareem Hunt and Pierre Strong kind of split this backfield. I think Pierre Strong will probably be a decent option. He had 8 rushing attempts for 25 yards, didn't get any targets out of the backfield. Kareem Hunt had 10 attempts for 31 yards. So as you can see, they're kind of neck and neck. As I said, Pierre Strong got more snaps. Kareem Hunt, I think, is more valuable because when it came to the 4th and goal on the goal line and earlier when they got down to the goal line, Kareem Hunt was the guy who got both of those carries, which shows, I believe, Kareem Hunt is the guy that they trust more than Pierre Strong. So in those cash situations, it's going to be Kareem Hunt getting the rock. That being said, I do still think Pierre Strong is a decently valuable piece in. If you have Jerome Ford, you weren't able to get Kareem Hunt. I don't think he's a terrible option just due to the fact that it is a pretty good offensive line. We'll have to look at their matchups coming up, but I don't hate it, especially just for a stash. But David Njoku had a very solid performance in this one. 5 catches on 9 targets for 54 yards, 10.4 points in a PPR setting. He played 96% of the snaps. I think he's a pretty solid tight end option going forward. The word is Deshaun Watson plans on playing next week. We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
I don't know, but if David Njoku's able to even get it done with PJ Walker, I'm liking him at the tight end position. Pour one out for all Amari Cooper owners because it was a rough week. I thought it was going to be a great week for Amari Cooper. He got 8 targets. Amazingly enough, he didn't get his first catch until the second half of this game. Only caught 2 passes, 22 yards, 4.2 PPR points.
Tough.
I mean, the targets were still there. Yeah, it was tough. It's going to be hard if Deshaun Watson misses again. You're still starting him, but it's in the cards. and you just kind of have to take it in stride. You did see Elijah Moore lead this team in receiving yards. He got 7 targets, was among the top 3 in targets on this team, right behind behind David Njoku and Amari Cooper. Moore caught 4 of his passes for 59 yards, gave you 9.9 PPR points. He is a viable option, in my opinion. If Deshaun Watson is able to come back and play football, then I think he's even better. I think that offense will continue to turn up. That's really all I got for the Browns side of the ball. Oh, to add, Dustin Hopkins, their kicker, a very good add if he's available. He's off bye for the rest of the year. And the Browns defense, if they are for some reason still on waivers, you should go out and pick them up, because even giving up 38 points, they blocked a field goal, had 2 strip sacks, one of them resulting in a touchdown, had an interception. So, I mean, they create havoc out there. They score points.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a defense worth starting every week, almost regardless of the matchup.
Yeah. Only thing to add about Amari Cooper is kind of an alarming stat is in his past 3 weeks, and granted they played Baltimore and San Francisco before playing the Colts, he has 7 catches total in the past 3 weeks. Now he's gotten 8 targets, 6 targets in those games, but worth noting, when Deshaun's not there, PJ Walker isn't exactly the most efficient quarterback, or when they had DTR. It's just, without Deshaun healthy, it's rough sledding.
Yeah, I think this makes Amari kind of a solid buy low option, because if, Deshaun's able to come back, the Browns are 4-2 right now. They're obviously going to be, they're gunning for the top of the division, for the top of the AFC. So
yeah,
that's a lot of good football left to be played by the Cleveland Browns. And if Deshaun is able to come back to the form that we've known him to play at, then Amari Cooper is going to be like league winning type stuff for the rest of the year beyond that point. So like I'm saying, if you're able to go out and buy him low now, it's a great option.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Colts side of the ball. Gardner Minshew giveth and Gardner Minshew taketh. 4 total touchdowns, 4 total turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
Is 15 of 23 for 305 yards, which it's almost incredible how you're able to throw for 305 yards on 15 completions. But obviously, when 2 of those completions are, I think it's a 79-yard touchdown for Pittman and a 59-yard touchdown for Josh Downs, that makes it possible.
Yeah.
I mean, like, those were Minshew's 2 touchdowns. He also had an interception, rushed the ball 3 times for 2 touchdowns, and also fumbled 3 times. One of them happened to be in the end zone for a Browns touchdown. He had 28.1 fantasy points. I mean, that's going to happen when you rush for 2 touchdowns and throw for 2, and you happen to also throw for 305 yards, regardless of all the turnovers. If he didn't have them, good Lord, he would have had a crazy day. Jonathan Taylor, we're still seeing him split snaps literally right down the middle with Zach Moss. They each played 50%, 35 snaps. They each got 18 carries. Jonathan Taylor was just able to get 75 yards and a touchdown on his, where Zach Moss got 57 on his. Both still, honestly, impressive against the Browns defense that has been great against the run. Jonathan Taylor was also able to add 3 catches on 4 targets for 45 yards. He finished with 21 PPR points. Zach Moss got 1 catch for 5 yards, gave you 7.2, which all in all against this Browns defense is not a disappointing day. It's very hard to say whether this split down the middle will continue in such a way with Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, you're continuing to start Jonathan Taylor every week.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's only going to ramp up in Jonathan Taylor's favor, but I think it'll stop at about 60-40. Zach Moss has proven to be capable of spelling Jonathan Taylor and giving him a break, while at the same time still being effective. So I don't think he's going to completely disappear. Whether or not he remains a viable fantasy asset, that's to be determined throughout the next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
we saw Kylan Granson not play in this game. So that resulted in Drew Ogletree playing in 60% of the snaps and not getting a single target. The only tight end target went to Mo Ali Cox for negative yardage. Not a very heavily involved position in this offense. I guess Kylan Granson is the only one who gets some involvement when he's out there.
Yeah.
Michael Pittman, his day was saved by that 79-yard touchdown I was talking about. By all means, great play by him, but another week we've seen him outperformed and this week he was out targeted. I don't know about last week by Josh Downs. Pittman caught 2 passes, would have had another catch, but there was a offsides call on that play, so they took the 1st and 5 instead of the 2nd and 4.
Yeah.
That's one of those things for fantasy that really sucks because it wipes your catch and yardage away and you don't get anything for it. But yeah, so he finished with 2 catches, 83 yards and a touchdown, 16.3 fantasy points. You're still starting him every week. The emergence of Josh Downs isn't necessarily concerning, but I think at this point, you can't look at Josh Downs and not view him as a viable piece. He's an every week starter at this point. He's getting the targets. He's reliable. He's got caught 5 of 6 targets for 125 yards and a touchdown. I mean, we're seeing him go up every week. He's finished with a touchdown in the last 2 weeks. And like we said, that's not a sticky stat, but we know Gardner Minshew likes to pass the ball. Granted, this was only 23 times. This is kind of a down week, in my opinion, for him, but this was just a crazy game. And we saw, 2 50-plus yard touchdowns, and one of them happened to go to Josh Downs. So I'm really liking Josh Downs. He did play 71% of the snaps. The surprising thing was Alec Pierce was questionable to play, and then he goes out and plays 100% of the snaps. I mean, I don't know if I'm jumping and going to get him. He's an option. He is out there. He does get targets every game. He caught 3 of 3 for 53 yards. But, I mean, Josh Downs and Michael Pittman are the clear number 1 and 2 options. And Jonathan Taylor, is still going to get passes out of the backfield. Their main tight end wasn't even playing in this one. So we'll see as it goes. My favorite options, obviously, Jonathan Taylor. We're looking to see with Zach Moss, but Josh Downs is getting to that role where it's like you can't really keep him out of your lineup depending on what it looks like. And then Michael Pittman every week start.
Yeah, and Josh Downs, that's double digits 3 consecutive weeks. He doesn't have a game on the season below 70% snaps. He's now 4 out of the 7 weeks in double digits. I mean, yeah, and he's trending up right now. So, yeah, I think right now he's right around probably like a flex play, but
yeah,
absolutely, I like the flex start with him.
No, definitely. I mean, hell, he's shown he's the number 2 option on the Colts, where they might not be down every week, but it seems like it. They're always in a position where they're coming back and having to pass the ball. So I love Josh Downs right now. But yeah, that's all for this one. We'll be back with the next one and a few more morning games left. So we'll see you guys next time.
Sir.